Welcome back to the Football Terrace. Hit the like buttons. Make sure you are subscribing and turn on those bell notification buttons as well. It's been a crazy 2.5 years for Chelsea. From Roman Abramovich being forced into selling, some of the most innovative and at sometimes crazy approaches in the transfer window from Clearlake and Todd Boehly. They've had 2 awful seasons by their great club standard. And just as things started to look like they're improving, a big story from Bloomberg has broken that Clearlake Capital and Todd Boehly are assessing whether they can potentially buy out each other amid a deteriorating relationship, plus other issues that are going on at the football club. Now, there's been some counterclaims to this, so before you start commenting, no, this has been debunked, it hasn't quite been debunked. And the source of this is exceedingly neutral and very, very credible. And we want to delve into this. Plus, Chelsea are also being sued at the same time, which adds to another off-field issue at the football club. And I sympathise. As a Man United fan, I sympathise. When you have all these off-field issues, when you've got all these problems with agents, owners, legal matters, it is time-consuming, it is stressful, and you don't want to see your club in that circumstance. However, I think it's important for fans to talk about it. I think it's absolutely imperative to not bury your head in the sand, and I want to gauge your thoughts, feelings, and opinions in the comments section below, because if this goes wrong, it could be disastrous. Is there really infighting? Are they really at each other's throats? Does this create the right culture and atmosphere for Chelsea to get back to where they believe they belong? At the very least, back where the money that they invest, the fans' money, the club's money that has been invested, to get them back to where they belong. So to go down through the breakdown of what's being said, the article, I will put a link in the description below for you to read it in its entirety. But it says a relationship between Clearlake co-owners Eghbali and Boehly, who together led a hard-fought takeover of Chelsea in 2002, has deteriorated in recent months, according to the People, as a period of heavy spending at the club has failed to bring success on the field. And I'm going to be brutally honest, I'm not surprised to read this. I'm not surprised to see all the Chelsea media outlets be briefed by the football club that this isn't quite true, and sort of playing it down somewhat. And we'll get onto that in a moment. Of course they're going to do that. This is a leak that Chelsea would not have wanted to have come out. But I'm not surprised, because Clearlake Capital are an investment company. And my fervent belief, it doesn't mean it's bad for football. It doesn't mean it's bad for Chelsea. But what they want is to invest money and to make a profit at some time in the future. And I don't mean through selling players. I don't mean through the prize money of winning the Premier League. I mean by growing the value of Chelsea Football Club over a prolonged period of time and then selling it to a new owner, maybe in a decade's time, for 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 billion pound profit. You know, part of that will be down to the Premier League success, but it's about growing as an organisation. And they have certainly shrunk in that time. Chelsea have had to sell off its own assets. Yes, they've bought it themselves, so they'll continue to grow from that. But they've not wanted to behave in that way. They want Chelsea Football Club in itself to be the asset they could sell on in the future. They don't really want to be stripping it down at this early stage. Boehly, I think we're all aware of this, even if the media tries to debunk it, was the driving force in the early failures of this rebuild at Chelsea. Failures that they are now trying to address. They're now trying to operate in a different way. The article goes on to say differing opinions on Chelsea's recruitment policy. And I think that Chelsea fans might not want to admit this, but they're probably looking at themselves thinking, I like some of the youngsters we're buying, but we do need to go out and get some more established players as well. The team's underperformance and the failure to make progression on building a new stadium have all contributed to the rift. And of course, it's hard to build a new stadium when you're having to actually sell off assets to cover the losses through the bad recruitment and the underperforming based on the early plans. For all these things to come to fruition, you need to be moving forward and not losing money in the way they had. They'd have spent half the money. They'd only spent 700 million in the last 3 years. That would still have been a lot of money. That leaves a huge pot of money still towards building a new stadium, which in turn brings in more money and grows the revenue and value of your club. It says the People said, asking not to be identified, discussing the confidential information. I'm going to give you my gut feeling, and I do believe that this story is true. I do believe that this story holds water. And what has been said, and I want to give full, covering all bases, is this is on the Telegraph from Matt Law. It says a report in Bloomberg claimed that Chelsea's main shareholders are exploring the possibility of buying each other out, but the Telegraph Sport understands that Clearlake, who owns 61% of the shares, would only be open to increasing their stake. So any Chelsea fans are getting excited that Clearlake and Todd Boehly could both potentially go. That isn't what's going to happen. Clearlake have told Matt Law and a number of other outlets that they want to stay. So I think the rift is true. I think the uncertainty is true. But it's very much a case of Clearlake are only going to buy out Todd Boehly. Where this could become a problem for Chelsea is if Todd Boehly says, well, I don't want to leave. I don't want to sell now either. Because he's probably not going to make a return on his investment at this particular juncture. That's where the issues could happen, because there could be a clashing of heads. Clearlake are the majority shareholder, and typically in those relationships, that sees them have a controlling interest within the organisation. However, we don't know the ins and outs of the business. The Glazers as a collective have the majority at Manchester United, but it's written in the shareholder agreement that Ineos control and run the footballing element of the club. So it doesn't matter about the stakeholdership, because the agreement says something different. That's something none of us know about at this particular moment in time. But look, Chelsea fans, I want to get your views and opinions. Do you see this as a good thing? Do you see it as, yes, there's problems, yes, there's infighting, but a resolution is going to happen because Todd Boehly is going to go? Or are you worried about the longer term poor running of the football club? I think the answer may be, we need to ascertain why they disagreed, and you need to understand what they're disagreeing about, to understand which person's side you would take, to therefore understand whether you want Clearlake or Todd Boehly to buy the other one out. Because imagine you like Todd Boehly's plan, but he gets bought out by Clearlake, the plan you dislike. But look, food for thought. I want your thoughts and feelings below. In other news, I want to play this video now. Chelsea are being sued as well to add insult to injury right now. Take a little listen.
Now, though, to football. And the agent cleared of sending former Chelsea director Marina Granovskaya a threatening email has launched a multi-million-pounds lawsuit against her and the club, which means we bring in our chief reporter, Kaveh Solokol. Right, Kaveh. Give us the background to this story, please.
Well, this dispute centres around Kurt Zouma's transfer from Chelsea to West Ham United 3 years ago. Now, Mr. Saif Al-Rubi is suing Chelsea and the club's former director, Marina Granovskaya, in a claim which has been filed today with the London Commercial Court. Now, in April, Al-Rubi was cleared unanimously by a jury at Southwark Crown Court of sending Granovskaya a threatening email. And the court heard that Al-Rubi believed that he had an agreement which would see him be paid a commission if Kurt Zouma moved in a deal which was worth more than 30 million euros. And of course, it has been reported that he actually moved in a deal that was worth 34 million euros. Now, I do have some quotes from Mr. Al-Rubi today. He says, the last 2.5 years have been incredibly difficult. As a fan of Chelsea and having had a productive business relationship with the club over a number of years, I'm saddened that I've been forced to take this step. It's my sincere hope we'll be able to reach a resolution to this issue that is long overdue. And he finishes off by saying, I'm hopeful that Todd Boehly, Bedard Egbali, the Chelsea co-owners, and Chelsea will take the action necessary to right this wrong and close this chapter so that all parties can move on.
And look, this is unfortunate for Chelsea's new owners. It isn't really their fault, because this is a situation that started before they came in. It was a legacy issue, as per the current investigations going on by the Premier League. But it's just another layer of problems for Chelsea off the pitch. And as I say, I sympathise with Chelsea Football Club massively. They will get this resolved. It isn't going to be a huge... You're probably looking at a settlement of... If he goes to court and wins, he might get himself £2.5 to £3 million. I think what would probably help all parties is if they turn around and go, look, how about we save the legal fees, we save the problems, there's £1 million, there's £1.5 million, there's £1.5 million and a box for a couple of years for free at the football club. And maybe you've got some other clients we can work with. Maybe we can do a bit of business elsewhere. I think they'll handle it. So this is a story I wanted to mention because I've seen this also blowing up on socials, and I think it's a little bit of a storm in a teacup. But I think when you put it into the backdrop of the infighting amongst Chelsea's owners, the Premier League investigation, the PSR concerns that are still there if success isn't reached, you mix that into the ownership of the club going, I don't think we're doing things in the right way. You then throw these kind of stories in and it makes everything look kind of tumultuous, and I wanted to kind of play it down a little bit. But Chelsea fans, rivals, I want your views and I want your opinions in the comment section below. Until next time, take care, goodbye, God bless, and we'll see you all again soon. Peace.